Welcome to Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians, Fridays at 1, with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee of Austin Federation of Music, which is AFM Local 433. Let me get my face up in here again. Sorry, y'all. And I will read the intro here. And I'm flailing at the controls. There it is. Okay. Excellent. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractors / 1099 workers. Others work as employee / W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
Indeed. Indeed. Now our riveting legal disclaimer. I'll get through this as fast as possible, I promise. The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed private sector employment law attorney of your choice. All right, and then we have our websites that we like to highlight every week. The first one, of course, is the Facebook page of the Texas Workforce Commission, as well as the official website of the Texas Workforce Commission. So on Facebook, they're just Texas Workforce Commission, all in one blob of text, after facebook.com, of course. And then on the web, they're twc.texas.gov, and that's going to have the most up-to-date information about the Workforce Commission. We also have our Local 433 Musicians Unemployment Sharing page. Unemployment Information Sharing page, although we are all sharing the unemployment, of course. But that's up on Facebook for us to share information amongst musicians. And then we also have the locals COVID-19 resources page, which is attempting to be a short list of things that if you haven't checked those things out and you're a musician in Austin or in the Austin area, definitely check those things out as resources during this pandemic. And that's afm433.com/COVID-19. And then the one we added a few weeks ago is really important. It's called Who Represents Me? And in the state of Texas, it's very difficult to figure out who represents you in the various legislatures. And so there is a decent website to help figure that out, because it may not be the same as your neighbor, of course, due to gerrymandering, which is a fascinating process. So that website is WRM, for Who Represents Me, wrm.capitol.texas.gov, and of course you have to spell capital in the correct way, CAPITOL, because it's the capital of Texas. But yes, so there's our somewhat exhaustive intro, and let me get everybody else up here. Hello, everybody. We've got Jonathan,
Hey.
Daisy, and Russell. Thank you all for joining us. What's everybody sipping on today? I have coffee. What do y'all got?
Got some coffee here.
Texas spring water.
Oh, beautiful.
Water.
Hey, excellent.
We party hard.
The beverage of life. Indeed.
Indeed.
Man.
Got some water over here too.
Yeah. All right. Man. Well, goodness, it's been quite a week. This is, of course, June 5th of 2020, a year that we will remember for a long time, I'm afraid. Wow. Yeah. Very intense week. We've got basically civil unrest across the entire nation, as well as massive unemployment. It almost seems trivial to do a show today, but as we were talking about before, we are the economic justice organization of Austin, of the Austin area. And part of what's going on has to do with economic justice. And so if we can help some people get unemployment benefits today that weren't able to get them yesterday, we're helping the situation. So we're going to keep soldiering on. And thank you all for being with us today. I really appreciate it, because that's what this is about: is sharing expertise and experiences in getting this help that we desperately need at this point. So, yeah. I guess let's start, if you don't mind, Daisy. Let's start with your story. How we've kind of all been sharing how we got benefits from the TWC, and it seems to be different for almost every single musician. Would you mind sharing your story with us, with as far as that goes?
Sure, no problem. So I was really intimidated to fill out the application, and I put it off for a while. And finally, I realized I just had to do it, and I reached out to Aaron that same day, and he was so gracious as to help me answer a few of my questions that I had about, like, I don't understand what this means or what that means. Just trying to figure out what was happening with the form and what the questions actually were asking, because there's so many ways you can interpret things. And once I'd filled it out and I saw how it all lined up, I was like, oh, that all makes sense. And thankfully it was approved pretty quickly. I mean, it took about a month, maybe 5 weeks to get my first payment, but then I had a couple of them come through. So they do pay back, starting when you started to request. And I was a little bit surprised. Aaron also hipped me to this, that they don't send you any emails. I was just going to wait around forever to get emails. They don't send you any emails. You have to go into the correspondence folder and see what they're telling you. And, I haven't gotten anything in the last couple weeks, but I check about once a week just to make sure I'm not missing anything, or to see if they need any further documentation. And
Daisy,
I had to send a bunch of stuff in. But
that's definitely something that we've been talking about a lot, because it's very inconsistent. People, some of our people are getting some emails, and some are getting none, and some are getting email every time they put something in that box.
wow.
You got nothing though, huh?
No, I
Yeah.
feel like I got one email once, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, I never
yeah.
received one either. It's same experience for me.
That's wild. Yeah, I was mentioning this to Aaron before, but I just had a friend who I helped fill out the form, based on how Aaron had helped me. It's like, oh, once you see what's happening with it, it's pretty straightforward. Just kind of answered a few of her questions. And she's been getting unemployment for a month or so now. Just kind of cut her payment totally this time, because she worked a few hours. So she reported the few hours that she worked, and the whole thing went. So that's not my story. That's someone else's story. And I don't know much more about it than that, other than that this musician is still looking into it. And hopefully it will be resolved.
Wow.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, I've been hearing a lot of conflicting reports from other musicians. I feel really lucky that Aaron was there to help me, and that I'm a member of the union and had access to, another musician who had been going through this. Otherwise, I very well could have been one of those people that was, you click one wrong box and they put you in some other folder and forget about you. I could have been one of those people. So I just feel really, really lucky.
Yay. Yeah. Oh man, I wanted to ask about your friend. So she made some money.
Yeah, she made I know we're not supposed to say numbers, but just a couple $100.
But just a little bit more than her regular benefit would have been. But
exactly.
But then the $600 also disappeared, along with the regular benefit. Yeah, and that's yeah. Is she going to keep on working a little bit like that, or is that just like a 1 week thing?
I think it might have been a 1 week thing.
Okay, well that she should be able to get right back on it as long as she keeps reporting. That's one message we're trying to keep going to people. Is just keep reporting as you go.
Yep.
And keep being accurate because it catches up with you. You know, eventually you're going to have to do your
Sure
taxes, and it will catch up. So yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But yeah,
Beyond.
that's tough. It sounds like though. It sounds like maybe, and you guys maybe help me out with this. It sounds like maybe she's only getting one part of it, like she's only getting the pandemic
Yeah.
assistance part of it, and not the standard part of it. Um, and our state is one of the ones that where you're supposed to be able to get more than that. You're supposed to be able to get standard and pandemic, but
Wow.
but only if you talk to somebody. It seems like the standard forms don't work. So, like you said, tell your friend not to give up for sure.
Okay.
But there's more that she can do. She should be able to qualify. She might be able to qualify. I shouldn't say should, but she might be able to qualify for the other half, the standard part of the uninsurance at the same time. But she has to talk to somebody, and that's
Right.
It, it
that's
That's
seems like she would be a perfect candidate for the who represents me.
yeah, yeah. And what do you mean by that, Russell?
Well, we talked about that last week, and it kind of works better if you can have two people pushing from two different ends, especially if they're getting some political pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We've mainly been talking about the state legislature because
Yeah, stay.
yeah, it is a state problem. Not a problem. It's a state agency maybe is having problems. But your U.S. Senate and U.S. House of representatives, they can put some pressure on it. But it seems like in our experience so far, the state representatives of the
Yeah,
Texas state,
you want the state representative.
they seem to have more direct pressure because it's a state agency. Yeah, particularly Judith Zaffarini's office. We've had a lot of success with that. Even though I don't think she represents our entire district because of the gerrymandering, but her office seems to be
Sure.
very interested in it. So we've been giving her information out as well. Let me pull that up and I'll put it in the chat room. Um, yeah. Do you
Because
know?
they really are as motivated as you are.
Mm, why is it? Why do you think that is?
Well, because this is all new to them too,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to keep your name in front of them and be committed to staying in contact with them and be able to explain whatever the situation is. I got this because I work these amount of hours and just kind of keep up to date
Yeah.
and ask for return correspondence.
No, that's important. Keep the conversation going, and they're going to want to do that too because they want to know if it worked or not. You know, I think I've done this every session, the last few sessions, so I'm actually going to put it
Sure.
in the script. But I'm putting the information in for Judith Zaffarini's office locally. But it's actually not Judith Zaffarini herself. It's a woman named Crystal Kyle, who's the deputy chief of staff and staff attorney, has helped out a lot of our musicians. So that could be a resource here. I'm trying to send that in. Oh, it's a few too many characters. How can that be? I gotta shorten my post here. That's funny, but um, here we go. Almost. Boy, I'll tell you what. Boom. Okay, now it's in the chat room on the YouTube session here, on the chat session. So yeah, for sure. That's a good place to start out, but it may be more effective to, like Russell was saying, to look up the who represents me, because it should be more effective with your whoever actually represents you for your district. They have more motivation. Whoever represents your friend Daisy, or whoever we're talking about, whoever their state senator is, should be more effective because they have skin in the game. They want to get reelected, of course. So assuming they do, but they probably do. And yeah, so
And it doesn't hurt to drop this that you're a union member.
yeah,
Yay.
Yeah, that always seems to carry some more weight for sure. Absolutely, because we're stronger together. You know,
It's true.
solidarity. Yeah, lot of use of that word this week, solidarity, and I think that's good. I think a lot of folks had kind of forgotten what that word meant, but we remember in the union. So yeah, well, great stuff. Thank you for sharing your story, Daisy. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing. I'm gonna have to hop off here soon. Thank you
Yeah,
for having me, though. Really
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. I appreciate you being on and sharing your story.
Yeah, sure thing.
Right
Cheers,
on.
y'all.
Cheers.
Thanks. It's going to help somebody.
I think it will, and that's been our experience so far. The more conversation we can generate, um, the more people are being helped by this stuff. So yeah.
Sure. And we will learn how to streamline the process as well. The more
Hmm.
we keep doing it, keep talking about it.
Absolutely, man. I wanted to make sure, and Daisy actually brought this up in the conversation before the show, but I wanted to make sure we brought up there's a temporary, what is it, a temporary outage, or the TWC website systems will be temporarily unavailable due to planned maintenance from 7 o'clock tonight, June 5th, 7 o'clock Central Time, until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Um, yeah, so what do you think what do you guys think are the implications of that? Like, what does that mean for us, for musicians?
It's availability.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and
Maybe we've been so consistent that we've crashed the system a few times.
yeah, and maybe they're doing some kind of upgrade. That's the positive thing I'm hoping for. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. The way that it's been working recently, um, uh, I think since a few weeks into the pandemic, they've sort of assigned different days that you can access the system according to, originally was according to your area code of your phone number, right? But now it may be different, but they tell you which day you can make your payment request on, and that's like Sunday through Thursday, and then I think from, what is it, Thursday through Saturday, um, everybody can access the system. So that's just chunking in to those hours that everyone can access the system. Um, but there are
Those
still.
are typically like the low volume hours anyway, the middle of the night kind of thing. So those are
Hmm.
hopefully it won't disrupt, we'll probably get higher traffic the following day, but hopefully they can just get caught back up
Yeah,
before the next week.
and hopefully they're increasing the capacity. I think, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Hopefully that's what's going on. That's generally when they have to shut the whole system down. That's what they're doing. So yeah, but just something to watch out for. Yeah, man. I wanted to bring up as far as news. Um, I wanted to see what you guys thought of this. I was talking with a musician the other day, who got, got set up last week, and then made his first payment request on Tuesday, and then he, like, immediately he got in the mail, in the physical mail, and in the correspondence inbox on the website, he got a paper copy of the payment request for the next period, for 2 weeks from Tuesday. And just wanted to see if you guys had heard about that from anybody else, because I've never even seen the paper version of the payment request. But they mailed it to this person. This person,
Weird.
is a senior citizen, so maybe that's why they did it. But I'm not sure.
It
I'm
makes me
thinking
think
that's
maybe
why they did it because. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it makes me think maybe they checked something on their application that indicated maybe they prefer a physical copy or mailed copy. I don't remember that being on the application, but that doesn't mean it,
Yeah,
or maybe it was simply because of their age.
yeah, it could be. Yeah, yeah. I'm not really not really sure. They didn't really send paper copies of the other documents, which is strange. It was just that one, but that is the most important one, as we're finding out, right? I mean, um, that's really the main thing. Is even if you haven't received a statement of benefits, to do the payment request and keep doing it. Um, yeah.
And I have gotten some mailed correspondence from them. The things that stick out have been overpayment, notice of overpayment.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I've gotten those in the mail.
That's right.
Um, and yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times, and it's been for a very minimal amount. And fortunately, they just take it out of your next check, and it's you don't ever have to think about it. Except you try to be as accurate as possible, and sometimes the dates just don't line up perfectly for some reason, or you calculated it wrong, and you end up having to just take a little bit out. You get a check on Sunday instead of Monday, and you're not sure which date it applies to which week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They
you have
have.
to be really meticulous with it. It's just sometimes it's hard to know.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think they've made some updates recently to the payment request forms to more clearly, state, where the boundary is between Monday and
Right.
Sunday, which is good. Because yeah, it's really easy to get confused. Yeah, where to report, and you definitely don't want to double report, and you definitely don't want to underreport either, because it's going to come back eventually. And yeah, even for single dollar amounts, it's they're keeping
Right.
track. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. Um, yeah. What about other?
You
Go ahead.
can send amendment notes to them.
Oh yeah.
If you submit and you realize that Monday you left out something from Sunday, because usually after 12 when it flips over, you can submit an admin or amended form to them. And I
Okay.
know guys that have done that, and if you get it early in the week, it works out in your favor.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really just all about honest communication. Just keep reporting exactly what it is that you're supposed to report,
Yeah,
and as long as you keep doing that, you're going to be fine. It's yeah, it's not a system that you can easily take advantage of, and nor should you. So, yeah.
right. Yeah, we don't need that.
Oh, I'm getting a text. Let's see. Oh man, that guy I was just talking about, the person I was just talking about, said that they got it by an email, not by snail mail. Okay, so he was emailed a paper copy of the payment request.
That's new. That's new. I've never been emailed a paper copy.
Right. Well, yeah. It was like, yeah, I've never seen that either. Yeah, very strange. I didn't even recognize
Yeah,
it,
I
but
don't know anybody that's done it either.
it said payment request on the top, and it had all the same questions that you do on the website now. And we've been told that you cannot use the paper version of the application anymore. That they've said that, but they haven't said anything about the paper version of the payment request. So I guess maybe you can still do that. Although using it in, you'd have to mail it. Using it in the mail would take longer. I'm assuming even if you filled it out and emailed it back, that would take longer, because someone would have to transcribe what was on the paper that you scanned. So yeah, I think the
Yeah.
best way is still the website, even though it's still clunky. Maybe it'll be less clunky after tonight. Man, goodness. Well, yeah. What about other news, guys? Do you hear any other news about the TWC this week?
Actually, I had a question based on just what we were talking about a second ago.
Sure.
And maybe this is a sensitive topic. Maybe we don't want to get too into it, but it's just as I know some people do their lessons for cash. They teach music lessons and they just take cash for them. And then other times you do lessons and it's through a school and it gets reported on. So of course you're going to report any W-2 1099 income that you do for teaching or performing. But if you get some cash under the table, what's the cutoff point for what do you think that would be for reporting that to TWC? Would you just go bottom line, report every penny of cash that you earn as in your profession, or would you, accept a little bit and then at a certain point start reporting it?
That's a good question, man.
I think you'd have to report the whole thing because you don't know what the person that's paying you is reporting.
That's right. I see.
And I've had that happen a couple times. So I report the whole thing. I don't want any mystery envelopes coming to my house.
Right.
Yeah, and I think maybe you're thinking in terms of like the 1099, where like someone has to have paid you $600 before they send you a 1099.
Yeah.
And that's still true, but you're still supposed to report all that income somehow, even for taxes. But as far as TWC, I haven't really seen what the regulations are exactly for that. But as far as as far as reporting, I think it's probably safer to report all of it. Just in case, right? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. Yeah, and that's an issue for a lot of us because a lot of us are teaching, as much as we can. That's one of the things you can do in these conditions, is teach remotely, and so I'm glad you brought that up, man. I don't have an exact answer, but we should we should research that and see what that is as far as like small cash payments directly to you.
Yeah, because it's theoretically a revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you can be asked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's sort of, I'm a teacher, but I only taught these amount of hours, and what you do over here. It's just gets convoluted, and it's just more questions you don't even ask, and you don't want to appear malicious.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. Yeah, man. Yeah, tough questions, and that would be the same kind of thing, for recording sessions if you're doing client recording sessions at your house,
Yep.
for cash payments. I mean, really, if you're doing contactless payments, they're not really cash payments. They're coming through some kind of banking system. They're coming through Venmo or PayPal or Square Pay or whatever. Zelle maybe, but it's coming through some kind of a bank process, which means it's trackable eventually, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, one of the guys that house.
Oh, I think we lost you there for a minute, Russell. What did you say?
Oh, I said you don't want to be the guy that the IRS is asking you, okay, how are you paying for that house with that income?
Oh man. Yeah, that's true. That's an excellent point. Yeah, as far as just banking
it just
in general.
invites unnecessary scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, truth. Yeah, very true, man. Yeah, but that's an important topic for us, man. I'm glad you asked that, Jonathan. Yeah, because it's
That's a great point.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's make that a project for next week. I'm going to look into that for next week, and see if we can get an exact answer on that, because that's really important, man. Lessons, income threshold, maybe we'll call it a threshold. Awesome. Yeah. Good stuff. What about other topics, man? You guys hear any other news about the TWC?
That's it. From what I've heard from them.
Yeah.
One thing I heard was that maybe it's just that nationally that there was an issue with the Department of Education garnishing wages illegally, or garnishing unemployment benefits illegally, or maybe it was tax refunds.
Yeah.
But for people who owed on their student loans.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
And they were
too.
supposed to be seizing that. They were supposed to be halting that because of the CARES Act. but they were continuing to do it
Still doing
illegally.
it. Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. As if we didn't have enough problems, huh?
Yeah, and apparently there's something going through the courts to try to get that reversed, but it's not moving very fast.
Yeah, as you might imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Oh,
pretty
man.
cruel.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Wow. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. That's kind of been an issue all along. Like there were even with the initial stimulus checks, right? There was some concern about creditors and debtors sort of being able to seize that before it got to the actual person. So that's man. So you watch out there. um, yeah, and probably use direct deposit as much as you can. I think because then it goes right to your bank account instead of into some into a check that might be seized, or I don't know, maybe. What do you think? Is it more seizable if it's in your personal account, or is it less seizable?
Maybe
It would take a state agency to levy it.
Keeping in mind that
that's
we're
maybe
musicians, but yeah.
I mean,
maybe the
yeah, I
TWC
mean,
money is
the average
safer,
credit,
right? Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe the TWC.
yeah, the average creditor couldn't
Hmm?
couldn't levy your bank account. It would take a state agency to do that.
Mm. Man.
And they can only do it once. So if you took the money out and waited till 12 o'clock and put it back in, they couldn't levy it again.
Oh, I see. Huh. Yeah, man. And yeah, of course, once again, keeping in mind we're musicians here, but yeah, man, that's our impression. So yeah. The other weekly news with the TWC, of course, is that they're still doing their press conferences every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Right after this session right at 2 o'clock, they do a press conference, and they take questions from journalists. So there is like a chat room, but you can't ask a question in the chat room. It's you can kind of discuss with other people in the chat room, which has varying degrees of value. But to actually ask a question, you have to ask it to one of the journalists that's in the press conference, and then they ask. My viewers have this question, or my readers, or my listeners, or whoever it is. But that is one way. They're getting a lot of honestly, it's a lot of the same questions. But that's the same thing that we're talking about here too, right? It's a lot of the same questions each week, just kind of in different ways. And it's because this system is
Sure.
just not, it's just not designed to serve everybody. It's really designed to serve, a small amount of people, and it was originally designed to exclude a lot of people, but now it's trying to be, reworked as a system that gets everybody in. So yeah, it's very complicated, man. All right, well let's keep rolling along here. What do you think here?
I had yeah.
Oh, please,
Well,
what do you got?
Aaron, I had a question. There was some news this week about, and I just want to, because I don't feel like I'm very informed about it, but I wanted to just ask and see if you knew more than I did. But there was some news about a city council resolution directed towards getting some funds to musicians and maybe some music venues. But what do they have details about that, or is that still kind of in process?
I actually am updated on it. You can go to
Oh,
the mayor's website. Tells you how much and when the disbursement is supposed to happen. www.austinmayor. That's where he keeps all of our agenda. Last week.
yeah, and I think the news this week was that they're kind of looking at maybe revising some of the criteria, because it was maybe a little too restrictive. What I was seeing was something about you couldn't have more than like 2 months worth of expenses covered in your bank account in order to qualify for as a musician to qualify for the help from that fund. And I think they're looking at maybe readjusting that or something. But yeah, but it's something you can apply for. They're $1,000 grants, and they're being administered through the Music Cares program, which is through the Grammys. Um, and I also saw that if you've already received a Music Cares grant already, because that's a national organization, if you've already received that, then you don't qualify for the city grant, which I guess is it makes sense in the context of like serving as many people as possible, but it doesn't make a lot of sense in the context of that would have been national money, whereas this is local money, to help local musicians. So I think they're maybe looking at that. They tried to get it through as fast as they could is the thing, and I think they're looking at problems that have arisen with it now. But Russell, do you know when the deadline to apply for that is?
I know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's. Let me look that up real quick. I think it starts on Monday. Um, let's see. Yeah, I think it starts on Monday, and then it goes for like 1 week. It's a very narrow window. Um, so, yeah, but that website that Russell gave is good. That Austin Mayor, is it austinmayor.com or .org?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
.com.
yeah,
Or you just go on to the mayor's Facebook page, and those addresses are there too.
mm-hmm, yeah. And we're going to add that to our music resources page, our COVID resources page rather, on the locals website, the local union, because that's something we want everybody to be able to take advantage of. So yeah, but yeah, it's a good thing to bring up, Jonathan, for sure. Yeah. Any other music relief efforts that you guys have heard about this week? Yeah,
That's it for
yeah,
me. I can't think
yeah.
of anything
Well, that's
else.
all right. Yeah, there's still the the union fund is still out there. If you're a union member, there's a special fund uh, on the afm.org site, but we have a link on our website as well. Um, and yeah, it's important to get out there. Because we need this help, and it's important that we survive. Locally, the Austin Jazz Society has some grants for jazz musicians. So whatever style of music you're in, there may be something specific to that out there. I do know HAM, our local Health Alliance for Austin musicians. Thank you, HAM. They've been helping folks with the TWC as well as with healthcare issues. Same thing with the Sims Foundation, and those are both on our resources page for COVID-19. But Sims Foundation is mental health for musicians. It helps with that, and mental health is a big deal right now while we're not working and we're under economic stress. So
Sure
yeah,
is.
yeah,
I've been taking advantage of some Sims recommended healthcare recently. So yeah.
excellent.
Very
I'm
important.
glad to hear that. Yeah, right on, man. Um, what about let's see, let's shift topics a little bit. What other kinds of work have you seen musicians be able to do recently? What do you guys think? Anything other than lessons and recording sessions?
Well, I talked about last week how guys are actually doing webinars for specific topics and charging to enter a chat room
Mm,
to revenue stream. You convince somebody you have something to say that they'll pay you for it. There's another one you can use.
yeah, yeah. We saw a very successful campaign nationally that the AFM was promoting with Ray Chu Live, and it was mainly like
Yeah.
um, you know mainly like a talk show with music celebrities talking about the music business, and they were raising money for the Musicians Relief Fund that the AFM has, the AFM Relief Fund. And yeah, that was very successful for sure. Um, let's see what else. I wanted to bring up. I did hear about, or heard from one of our musicians, one of our union brothers, played a gig in Austin I think about a week ago, or maybe a week and a day. I think it was maybe last Thursday or so. And it was an outdoor place. It was a bar, and they have an outdoor place. And they put a sign up at the entrance that said you had to wear a mask, you know. And so everybody felt pretty comfortable going into the gig, but then it got really crowded at the gig, and there wasn't table service. That was the thing, and that is one of the recommendations from the governor of Texas, for reopening, is that you don't have open bar service, you have table service instead, which that requires more service people, obviously. So this place didn't do that, and they had a big crowd up by the bar, and a big crowd in the dance floor, and a big crowd standing around and rubbing up against each other, and it wound up being very
Wow.
uncomfortable for the musician. Even though they were on stage, it was still, kind of spilling over into their area. So
Lots of open mouths in their direction.
yeah,
All
whoa,
right.
yes, yeah, singing, shouting, yeah, bumping and grinding. It's yeah. Yeah, what would you guys do in that situation? Well, I mean, it's hard to know what you would do until you're there, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to say. I what is the right thing in that situation? Are you just, I mean, what do you expect a musician to do? I mean,
yeah,
should they have left? Should they have walked out and said, these my demands? I did, you didn't meet the proper code, and or these regulations aren't being followed, so I can't play. Should you take that hard stance, or should you just wait until you get paid and then complain about it later?
right, yeah, yeah. That's an excellent point. I guess that depends. That depends on whether or not you've put those things into your contract or not.
Yeah, you can have
Yeah,
a local rider that that says that you want those the governor's mandates followed. Because I don't know how enforceable they are. I mean, because I don't
yeah,
know if calling the police would work or not. But you can ask for that in your riders that, hey, I can't. I'm not here to break any laws or anything.
hmm yeah, yeah. These are all things that we gotta.
Because ultimately you're up putting your health at risk too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Putting you at risk, putting all the people you live with, and all the people they come in contact with. You
Yep.
never know. This virus is very tricky.
hmm absolutely.
Very opportunistic.
Yeah. Well, we have to keep bringing up to the employees that they are not the employees, the employers rather, that they're putting their customer at risk. So then, does that mean that you're not going to have any customers after this thing is over? And what does that mean? And yeah, we have to look out for the audience as well. And
Sure.
Those venues are struggling though. They're getting shut down left and right, and I'm sure they're looking at the bottom line. They're
as
trying to figure out how to do it on their, so that they don't have to shut their doors permanently. So it's
yeah,
tricky for everybody. It's really a
absolutely,
tough situation.
it is. Yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah, and we don't want to see them shut down. We actually need them to be strong and prosperous so that we have work.
yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a time to work together and try to find the smartest way to do this stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a national initiative called Revs, which is Reopen Every Venue Safely, that we're looking at getting involved in, and there is a local chapter of that here. So yeah, we're looking into that. But there's some things on the city agenda that our city affairs committee is looking at, that have been brought up by some venue organizations, as well, and we don't always, we're not always on the same page with venues, of course, but But in this case, I think we need to get on the same page together and find a way to do this where we're not wiping out our musicians and our audience and everything else, and even the workers too, the people that work at the venues. We don't want those people to be affected by this either. We want to be safe for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, because a relapse would be crushing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It would be devastating for all of us.
Hmm. Yeah, man. All right. Well, the next question I have for you guys, and we'll just do a couple more of these, and we'll get off here. But the next question I have for you guys is, what do you think for someone who's starting to apply for unemployment benefits this week? What do you think is the most important thing for them to know? Somebody who's coming into the system at this stage, because we still got people coming in. The people that didn't think they qualified, or maybe they didn't need help until now. What do you think?
Just go ahead and do it. Just rip that Band-Aid off. Apply, get it in the system, then be patient. It's going to take a few weeks to get your first payment. But then every 2 weeks, even if you haven't gotten your first payment, every 2 weeks, make that payment request and give the honest, just out calculation of how much money you've made, as honest as you can be, each week in your payment request, and just do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
good
the
advice.
thing is people are only as motivated as you are. So if you're willing to stay in contact with them, I think you have a better chance.
Hmm. How do you keep track? What's the best way to keep track of what day to make your payment request? Because it's the same day every 2 weeks, but you have any recommendations on just how to keep track of when that is?
Just put it on your calendar when that day pops up. Whatever you're doing,
I
Do it
think.
at midnight. Do it at midnight.
submit.
If your day is Wednesday, stay up till
Yeah, that's a
midnight
good point.
Tuesday
Yeah.
night, and do it at 12:01 on Wednesday.
Oh man, has that worked out? Is it pretty smooth? Does it act smoother at midnight?
It's been I mean, it's never been a problem for me.
Okay.
So
Even like in March and April, you didn't have a problem with it at all?
nope, never did.
That's good to know. That's really good to know. Yeah. Right on. Very cool, man. All right. Rock and roll, man. Okay. Well,
Maybe I shouldn't have said that though. Hopefully, not too many people are going to be
we'll have a big,
tying it up now.
we'll have a big rush. Yeah. Man.
Well, hopefully the new maintenance program will allow for that. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
hopefully that won't be a problem.
Yeah. You don't do it. Don't do it at midnight tonight. It will be off tonight. But yeah, 7 p.m. today until 7 a.m. tomorrow, it'll be off. You won't be able to get access. But yeah, generally, yeah, midnight's a very good time. So yeah, man. One more thing that I'd like to discuss real quick is they're still working on another aid package in the federal government, and there's several different ways that several different forms that aid could take. What do you think the best way for them to get aid to musicians is? Is it to do more into the unemployment system, or is it some other way? What do you think? What's the best way for them to get aid to the arts and to musicians?
I think you got
I
to put
think
it in their hands because there are some musicians that don't have bank accounts.
Hmm.
You need to send them a check or whatever that's cashable at various places because now they're waiving fees now.
What
But not
which
everybody has a bank account.
which fees are you talking about, Russell?
Fees for check cashing for
Oh,
musicians,
okay. I see what you mean.
and those add up. And like I say, not everybody that not all musicians. Matter of fact, I know quite a few that don't have bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think direct payments to people is the best thing. It's the best thing for musicians' bank accounts, the best thing for paying bills, musicians being able to pay bills, and it's the best thing for our economy because we're going to be spending that money. One thing I've been
Oh,
seeing
absolutely.
a little bit online, I'm lucky that I was able to get a direct deposit, but some people were receiving their stimulus fund on these like little bank cards that they give you, or some kind of almost like a uh, one of those gift cards, like Visa gift cards.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, it's very strange that they're
And
not
those are
just
uncool.
sending yeah, all kinds of fees attached to these cards.
Yep.
I think there was a way
And
around most of the fees, but at the same time, you could accidentally end up paying a few dollars in fees, and that just adds up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
and a few dollars is that's another meal in these kind of conditions, So that it's
yeah,
really not trivial at all. Yeah, yeah. There is a way with the unemployment, at least with TWC. I don't know about nationally, but with the Texas unemployment system, if you don't register a bank account, they will send you a thing that's like a debit card, um, and that's specifically for folks that don't have a bank account. But you're absolutely right. I don't know what the fees are with that because there are fees with a regular ATM card, So this type of
I've
card,
seen, yeah, there's a schedule of fees, and I've seen some of them floating around. So I don't know how accurate it all is, but I've seen dozens of fees for different types of transactions, limits on transactions. The best thing if you end up getting one of those cards is probably just to get all the cash out immediately and just have that cash. Because if you're just making charges on that thing like it's your regular debit card, you're probably going to be getting some fees
wow,
uh, before you know it.
wow, yikes, yeah,
and
that's
you don't have access to all your money. I mean, if you run that thing down to where you have cents, but somebody's getting paid interest on that 50 cents.
mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Get
that's
all of your money.
that's one of the been one of the problems with all the aid packages so far is not enough of it is actually getting down to the people. Yeah, to Jonathan's point, we have seen that in other countries where they're just making direct stimulus payments to people, and that has seemed to keep the economies going in those other countries. So why couldn't we do it here? Yeah.
Make sure you register to vote
Yes.
Yes, yes.
and then vote.
Then vote. Yeah, this is the year. I don't know if you guys noticed in the last newsletter, but we did put in an article. The last union newsletter is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
We put in an
sorry.
article about the Tempo Fund, which is the political action committee that's run by the AFM, and because the AFM by itself cannot be a political action committee. Because dues money cannot be used for political purposes, for most political purposes. So we have to have a separate fund that only union members can contribute to. But that's what it does. Is it helps politicians stay in office that are supporting the musicians union initiatives. The things that are important to musicians. And that's very important as far as getting streaming revenue up, as far as getting streaming residuals to exist at all for streaming television and movies. Those are things that we have to do, and we probably will have to get the legislature to help us do that, and that all those big problems for sure.
Union is the only organization that can really effectively fight for something like that on a national level.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Got to be in the union.
Yeah.
Got to join.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not. I mean, we're not actively recruiting people in these types of situations, but if you can join, it's a good time to join because yeah, we're working on all these things, and we are like we said, we're the economic justice organization for musicians in the Austin area, but also for internationally for the entire United States and Canada. The AFM is still the largest entertainment union in the world. So, um, yeah, join us. We'd love to have you. All right. Well, do you guys have anything else before we wrap up?
Can't think of anything else.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for joining again. This is Jonathan and Russell, and I'm Aaron from the Austin Federation of Musicians. For all musicians out there, we want to encourage you to stay in the music business, and we need to survive this together because the country and the world is going to need us throughout this crisis and afterwards. So if you need help, reach out. We're helping everybody here. It doesn't matter if you're a union member or not. We're helping everybody to survive this. Let me check our Facebook feed. Nope, no comments there yet. So we're going to sign off. But Russell, I hope you don't mind me borrowing this. But let's all lean in and survive this and learn how to navigate the Texas Workforce Commission. We'll see you all next time.
Sounds good.
All right.